And Kai Havertz scores again. Who would have expected that? What is happening, people? Welcome to Gooner Down Under TV, and if it's your first time on the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, stick around for the Gooner Down Under journey, hit that like button and leave a comment on what you thought of the game as well. Always love to have a bit of a football chat with you all. Now, with all of that good stuff being said, where else can we start? Without further ado, we got to talk about the goal scorer, Mr. Kai Havertz. It doesn't start a lot of us probably surprised, and we'll get into sort of the team talk and a bigger breakdown of the game. But at the moment, we just got to give him his flowers. It was a game where we weren't able to do much. We didn't create many opportunities, and he comes in and has his first real moment for Arsenal. A lot of people can say maybe that assist for Martinelli, but there was a lot of question marks on that. Deflected goal, maybe he didn't even get it under his feet quick enough to get a shot off, whatever. But this was a legit moment. We weren't able to break Brentford down at all. He comes in, he gives us a different option. He's big, he has a knack for being in the right spot at the right time. He has had a lot of different heading opportunities this season as well. Just hasn't been able to convert on any of them. This time, Bukayo Saka puts in a beautiful cross. He finds his spot, he finds the space, good finish, good goal, and it puts us back to first place. Hopefully this season we can ride that out and we can enjoy some glory at the end of the season. But, again, that's a talk for another day. At the moment, here to just give him his flowers. Does this mean it sort of eradicates everything he's done in the past and makes that neglected and, all the games where he maybe wasn't good enough? Of course not. He hasn't been good enough from an attacking aspect. I've been saying he's been doing things that I expected him not to do. Defensively, winning duels, I didn't think that was part of his game, and he's been doing that. I thought he was going to come in and be a little bit more of a free-flowing, creative player, and we haven't seen that side of him. Which maybe, to be honest, is probably the better of the two. It shows that he can play that midfield position, and we just need to unlock that creativity that he's got somewhere in there. But, not going to flip-flop, not going to say he's now the best player in Arsenal or anything like that. Just, give him his flowers. It was a good goal. Hopefully he can kick on from this. And it sort of sparks a good discussion of, should he maybe be our impact super sub off the bench? There's been a couple games where he's come off the bench and made an impact. There was that game against City where he played well, got the assist for Martinelli. Today came in, scored the crucial winning goal against Brentford. There was even that friendly with Germany, France. He came on off the bench and had a really good cameo. Maybe this is something for him. I know a lot of people are saying, yes, 65 million for a bench player, this and that. But if that's how we're able to get some use out of him, maybe for the whole season, I think it's worth discussing. Even Jack Grealish, a lot of people might be not convinced on what he does for City, but that first season he went there, he wasn't the best. A lot of times he was coming off the bench or getting rotated, and then slowly he was starting to make a bigger impact. Maybe this could be the case for Kai. He's playing a lot of different positions. I feel like it's very hard to be able to constantly adapt all over the pitch to be able to do your role. But maybe Arteta can somehow just say, look, long term, you're going to be this 8. At the moment, we're going to sort of ride you in as a super sub. Just come in, make an impact, and eventually you will become that player. I don't know. Let me know. What do you think? Do you think he can, maybe he should just be starting right now? Do you think he should be coming off the bench? Or if you say this, fair enough. Do you feel like he's got no point in this team or no chance in this team whatsoever? Let me know. But he's had a lot of slack on him. I thought it'd be just a good opportunity to give him some nice praise. But with that being said, let's move on to the game as a whole. From the get-go, it was a bit of a bold selection from Arteta. It was maybe a lineup that a lot of the fans wanted, even myself, but we never really expected it. I've been calling for Trossard in that midfield since we saw it in Nuremberg. Thought he could be a really good option there. And Arteta out of nowhere, there was no sort of indication, goes for it. Trossard in that 8 with Odegaard as the 2 attacking 8s, attacking 10s. And a lot of us were hoping this was going to be the start of that fluidity. We're going to revamp. It's going to be the start of something new. Shout out High School Musical. But it really wasn't. Some of that is definitely credit to Brentford. They are a very good compact team. They're not going to give you many openings. But I think some of that was also our own doing. A lot of times we were very slow, taking 1, 2, 3 too many touches on the ball and not just progressing it and trying to make something happen. Yes, they were very good defensively, but I don't think we ever really put their defense to the test. A lot of times we were very predictable, very slow. They didn't have to do much to defend us. And I think, yes, we scored off a cross, which was fantastic, but I think that was slightly different. Bukayo Saka opened up his body and, putting in a cross from a different angle, whereas all of our other ones were so telegraphed, probably not, actually no word that I say sounds right now. So one of those, you know which one I mean. All our crosses were so obvious. Brentford could sniff them out from a mile away. They knew where they were going. A lot of times we didn't even have anyone in those positions anyway. And it makes me beg the question of why we're relying on so many crosses when no one in the team has that as their strong point. At this point, Havertz wasn't on yet. It was Jesus, Trossard, Martinelli in the box. None of them I'd say are aerial threats, yet a lot of our game was just going through to the corners, crossing in and not really getting any success at all. I think, last season, a lot of our best play was, nice, intricate triangle, tiki-taka passes, cut and open teams. And I feel like we just don't have that yet at the moment. Is that something we can hopefully regain? Yes. But, yeah, nothing's been sort of showing signs of that. Besides that, Ramsdale got his first start today and very shaky, especially that first half. I thought this was definitely going to be the game where he throws away for us. We lose points. He maybe makes 3 critical errors and then never plays for us again. To be fair to him, recovered strong. Second half, thought he was very composed, which is, testament to him. I would have definitely buckled, especially if that was me that first half and the Brentford fans getting on him every time he touches the ball. But, fair play to him. Recovered second half. But I think after today's performance, it's pretty clear Arteta's going back to David Raya. David Raya hasn't necessarily put up trees as well, but I feel like this was that one opportunity for Ramsdale to be like, no, this is my spot. I'm keeping it. Just didn't work out for him. It is a shame because, I do like Ramsdale. He's a great character, always riles up the other team's fan base and the other team in general. But, if Arteta thinks this is the best, I guess Ramsdale didn't do anything to convince anyone that he should be the number one. So I'm assuming Raya steps back into that position. Some more things that I sort of do want to talk about is a lot of other team fan base as well are constantly talking about how Arsenal are not at their best. They're not playing well. But it's weird. We are at the top of the table. I think a lot of people do forget that. Yes, we're not fluid. Yes, we're not creating chances. But we must be doing something right. And I think this mainly leads off this stat here. We have the best defense in the league. We've only conceded 10 goals. Yes, we're controlling teams more. We're not creating more. But we really are limiting the other team's chances. This game against Brentford, the other team, really their only opportunities came off Ramsdale's errors. I can't really remember any other time where they were carving us up either or really having any sort of lengthened spell on the ball. We were really controlling that game, which is why I think it's just going to take some fine margins to sort of unlock everything. It's one of those things where you don't want to negate what we're doing defensively because I think that is really good, but also we all see that we need to do a little bit more attacking wise because otherwise, we might get found out a lot. We might pick up a lot of 0-0 draws or 1-1 draws if the other team gets a scrappy goal. Because at least at some point, we're not going to be able to always be clinical and score on really low chances. And some of that is going to have to be unlocking these two. To be fair, Brentford did have a really good shape. Like I said, every single time Bukayo and Martinelli got the ball, they had about 2 to 3 players clamped up on them. But how do we get them involved then? I think a lot of that, maybe it risks a bit of control, but I think we need to be a little bit quicker. And that doesn't always mean, constantly rush, constantly try and, attack, not thinking about what's coming next. But I think it's about picking your moments. I think it's about those times where there is a half opportunity to not take 2-3 extra touches, ping it up to Martinelli, ping it up to Saka, let them try and have their player one-on-one and make something happen. I think if we're always relying on playing nice and slow, we're not going to get the best out of our 2 attacking assets, because everyone knows just put 2 to 3 people on them. If you can negate them out of the game, we're going to really struggle to create any good chances. And that's sort of what happened today. Thomas Frank came out after the game, talked about how he thinks it should have been a draw. It was a very even game. And he's right. One little moment from Bukayo to Kai changed the whole narrative. And it was last minute as well. How many times can we rely on that? I do think we're doing something fantastically defensively, and that's really going to set us up, I think, for the long term, because at some points you do need to be able to grind games out. You do need to learn how to play when you're not playing the best. But is it sustainable? We're first now. We've been first. Last season we were first for most of the season with a completely different style of play. It's just the unknown is killing us. Let me know, what do you think? Do you think we should maybe sort of go back to a little bit more of what we did last season and just try and blitz teams? Or do you think what we're doing now is working? Or maybe it's a little balance point, like what I'm sort of saying, where the defensive work is really good, we're controlling games. I just think we need to learn how to pick our attacking moments a little bit more. But yeah, I can't even remember what I'm saying. I'm sweating like crazy, so I'm going to try and wrap this up. We're first. Let's enjoy this. Kai Havertz got, his first legit goal. Let's try and praise him for that. Hopefully he can kick on. We got our Champions League coming up against Lons as well. So hopefully we can top the group with that win, seal that, so we can get, some good rest for that last game. Let some other players get some Champions League experience as well. But yeah, it was a good game. Not the best. Controlled it. Tough away game. We got the 3 points. That's what matters. Coming first. Let me know what you think. I'm going to leave it here before I completely pass out, and I'll see you in that next video. Peace.